Hey guys, welcome back to part 5 of the constraint layout tutorial. In this video we want to take a look at placeholders, which are another constraint layout feature that make animations like this very easy and also offer some other functionalities. Okay, let's take a look at this. So for this I have already prepared the layout you just saw, but I have deleted the whole placeholder part. So we start just with these 5 images that are chained together here at the bottom, and that's basically it. Now it's important to note that all of these images have an ID, because this is necessary for the feature to work. And all of them have this onClick attribute, which calls the swapView method. I have put the swapView method into the main activity, but right now it's empty. And now we can put a placeholder in here. Opening angle bracket placeholder, which is a constraint layout widget. And now we can give it a width and height, but this width and height will be overwritten by the view we put in there anyways. So I'm just gonna give it the same width and height as our icons, but it's not necessary. We could also give this a width and height of 1dp, it would have the same result. However, the constraints we set on this placeholder do matter, because they will be applied to the view we put in there. Okay, we have to give it some constraints. Let's just put it in the middle and align it on the parent like this. And we have to give this placeholder an ID, because we need a reference to it in Java code. Add +id/ and we simply call it placeholder. And now we can use this placeholder to put a view in there at runtime. For this, let's go into our main activity. And as I mentioned, we want to do this when we click this swapView method here. But first we need a reference to our placeholder, so we create a placeholder variable and we call it placeholder. And just as for any other view, we assign it an onCreate. Placeholder equals find view by ID and the ID r.id.placeholder. And now in swapView we can simply call placeholder.setContentId. And here we have to pass the ID of the view that we want to put into this placeholder. So it's a really simple process. And the view v that we get passed here is whatever called this onClick method. So it's any of our 5 images depending on which we clicked. And from this v we can get the ID with v.getID, which will return the ID of the view that we clicked. So this is basically the same as r.id. But it dynamically returns whatever v is at the moment. And that's already it, so let's test it. So here are our 5 image views, and when we click any of them, they get put into the placeholder. And the original view basically has a visibility of gone. When we put any other view into the placeholder, our first image gets put back to its original position. Okay, but we don't have an animation yet. Adding this is very easy, so back into our code and back into our layout file. We don't have to do much in here, we simply have to give our constraint layout an ID because we need it in Java code. Android::id add +id/ and we simply call it layout. Okay, back into our main activity Java file. In here we need a variable for our constraint layout, private constraint layout, and we simply call it layout. We assign it layout equals find view by ID r.id.layout. And to add this animation we simply go before our setContentId and call TransitionManager with capital T .beginDelayedTransition. And here we simply pass our layout variable, which is our constraint layout. And we don't have to do anything else. This is enough to add this animation. So let's test it again. And now we have the same functionality, but with this animation, which looks really nice. Okay, this is one thing we can do with placeholders. Another thing we can do is using them as some sort of template. Let's take a look at another example for this. For this we create a new layout file. And we call it, for example, header_template. Into the text tab, and we don't use a constraint layout, instead we use the merge tag. So the merge tag basically creates a layout with multiple views that we can put into another layout. If you want to know more details about the merge tag, you can click on the little eye in the top right corner of this video, there I have a video exactly on that topic. Here we won't go too much into detail, but in here we will put 2 placeholders. Gonna give the first one a width and height of 0dp. So basically match constraints. But this is not a constraint layout, and to have the functionality of a constraint layout, we add the attribute tools::parent tag. And here we pass constraint layout. This is just to make it possible to align it properly in the editor. Otherwise we would have to write all these attributes manually. Okay, now I'm gonna give this placeholder some constraints. But I delete these margins here. And now I give it a dimension ratio of 16:9. We talked about the ratio attribute in part 2, so if you want to know what this is, you can watch this part again. And let's put it here at the top, like this. This is just a placeholder. Now we add a second one in here, opening angle bracket placeholder. I give this one a fixed width and height of 15 dp. But again, the exact width and height does not matter because it will be replaced by the view that we put in there anyways. Let's give both placeholders an ID. Gonna call this one placeholder underscore image because we will put an image in here. And placeholder underscore button. Now let's give the second placeholder some constraints as well. Like this. And now comes the interesting part. We give both placeholders the attribute app:content equals, and then we pass add plus ID slash, and then we define an ID, for example, image. We do the same for the second placeholder. This one will take ID button. And then later when we use this template with the two placeholders in another layout, whatever views have these IDs will be put into this placeholder. But you will see this in action in a moment. And actually we wouldn't have to write add plus ID slash, we could just write add ID slash. But then this only works if we add this ID in the other layout. And when we write add plus ID slash like this, we create this ID no matter what. And then it will also work if it can't find the image ID in the layout where we use it. So basically when we use the plus, we make sure that we don't necessarily have to put this image into the other layout. Okay, and what we're going to do now is we go into the design tab and click up here on create landscape variation. This basically duplicates this layout, but for landscape mode. And it creates this header template landscape file. And in here we will do some slight changes. Let's say we don't want to have our image in 16:9. Instead we want to have it take 50% of the width of the screen. So we pass 0.5 like this. And we put it on the other side of the screen. And now we take our button and put it somewhere else as well. Just to see the difference. Let's put it in the bottom right corner. And align it like this. Just gonna change the margin to 16 dp and we are almost done. So bear with me. And now we have prepared our two templates and we go back into our original main activity layout. We delete all the stuff we have in here because we don't need it anymore. And now we need this one image and one button that we want to replace with the placeholder. Opening angle bracket image view, wrap content width and height. I give it an image source and I have prepared this sunrise image. And let's change the scale type to center crop. And now we don't have to give it any constraints, because the constraints will be replaced by the placeholder anyways, and the placeholder does have constraints. And now the second one will be our floating action button, wrap content width and height here as well. We don't have to give this constraints either, but let's give it an image, just so it looks better. And now we give both views the same idea as we set as the content attribute in our placeholders. These IDs were image and button. So we set the same IDs here, Android colon ID at plus ID slash image and button. And right now this doesn't change anything, but when we write opening angle bracket include and pass our header template layout, everything gets put on this place. Now I don't know why it can't show the preview of the image, but it will work when we run the app. So let's test it. And there's our image and our button, and they have the same constraints as we set on our placeholders. And when we rotate the device, it automatically applies the landscape version. And now you could still put normal views in here that are not affected by landscape or portrait mode, just the usual way you would do it. We only have to find the different landscape and portrait version for the header template we include with this tag here. Okay, so I know this whole placeholder part can be a bit confusing, but it's basically just what the name implies, it's a placeholder for other views. In the next video we will then take a look at constraint sets, with which we can change and animate whole layouts at once. Make sure to subscribe to the channel to not miss that, and if this video was helpful, please leave a like. Take care.